Hello and thanks for checking out this Assassin's Creed Valhalla Forgotten Saga No Damage run. My commentary goal through this run will be to highlight combat strategy, tips and tricks, and why I do certain things and approach certain aspects of the game in the way that I do. If you're curious about the rule set for this run, check the description for those details. If you have any questions on anything in this run, please feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and thank you again for joining me for this challenge run. So as we get into this run, the first thing you're going to notice is that this is not a fresh run. So I have gone through this multiple times before getting this run to upgrade skills, get various things for this run set up. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but I just want to point out this is not a fresh run. So what we're going to do here is I've set up a file that the previous run I did had certain things that are required to do the no damage run with as little pain on your part as possible. So what that looks like is you need a spear, or you want a spear. Specifically, you want to try and get Gungnir, which extends the reach that you can attack. So it makes your ability to attack things from afar much greater than the default of like any other spear. And then also you want Incendiary Powder Trap, which is the other thing that I just got. That ability is 100% required for the third boss if you want to be able to no damage it consistently. And I'll go into that a little bit more in a second. So the other thing I want to point out is the outfit I'm wearing. So I'm wearing Draugr's Toll. And the reason I choose this outfit is it gives you missile reversal, which is huge. It gives you sprint attack, which is very useful. And it gives you terror. Terror being that whenever you do a finisher, so say something like this right here, we do a finisher, these guys will get scared and you'll see them kind of react to it and they'll take back a little bit like he just did there. So what that does is anyone that witnesses you killing someone in that way will stop aggressing onto you. So it's very, very useful, specifically for the second realm and the final realm that you go through and the enemies that are inside of that. So my main strategy for this run is to basically build up as much as I can on my main weapon. So the spear, I want to upgrade the spear to max if at all possible. If I can upgrade the bow to max, which in this run I believe I do, then that's fine, but it's not required. And then we need to upgrade the Incendiary Powder Trap to max. It needs to be level 3 to have the easiest time in dealing with the third boss, and to be honest, the final boss as well. Aside from that, we're also going to be wanting to look for an electric ability and an ice ability. The preferred ice ability is basically the ice arrow. The preferred electric ability is, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's the ability that allows you to like throw a bunch of axes. I don't get that in this run. I end up getting the electric arrow, which is fine. However, I get the electric arrow too late. Really, you want the electric ability specifically for the second boss. You want the ice ability for the final boss, and for some of the enemies in the final realm leading up to the final boss. So now that that's all out of the way, let me explain my approach to combat. So it's going to vary depending on what realm, because each realm gives you different enemy types, and the potential enemies that are in those realms can do certain things that the other ones can't. So my preferred method is to basically go at these enemies in stealth if I can, and if not, then basically we're going to shoot weak points and instantly kill enemies. One of the really cool things about this mode is that if you get a stagger off of a weak point shot, or really any stagger, you can instantly kill 99.9% of the enemies. Unless it's a very, very big, beefy enemy, you'll kill them instantly. So this Destructive Elements rune that I just got here is, in my opinion, the best rune for this entire run if you're trying to do what I'm doing and build your run the way that I'm building it. There's going to be a strategy that I'll come back to on the final boss. In fact, on the second boss, it would work as well if I had an electric attack by the time I got there. But definitely for the third and final boss, that rune makes my ability to do damage to them way, way, way better. And I'll cover that in detail when we get to those boss fights. But going back to my approach, you'll see that what I'm doing is I'm playing it very slow. There's no reason to rush through this area. And I'm just relying on my experience and my time with this game mode to know how I need to approach this stuff. In Realm 1, which is this realm, I know that this enemy that I'm looking at, this is the one of the most dangerous ones. So I'm not going to try and get close to him, because if something messes up, it's very easy for me to take a hit from him because I don't have a shield. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with headshots on the bow. Anytime that I see that specific enemy in this first realm, I'm not going to prioritize melee on it. I'm going to prioritize shooting him. That way I don't need to be close to him. And this will change from realm to realm. There are different priorities given different enemies and things like that. One of the interesting things about this game mode is that it's not a true roguelite. So when I think of a true roguelite, everything is more or less procedurally generated to include the terrain you run around in. This will always be the same. The entire level design is 100% always the same. The only thing that changes from run to run is the rewards in any given area, and sometimes the enemy composition. So sometimes, maybe instead of having 4 enemies, you have 5. Maybe instead of having normal enemies that you can just assassinate and one-shot, you'll have 4 of the 5 be that, and 1 be like a heavy guy that you gotta really worry about. So, the way you go through this area, after run after run after run after run, you'll start to kind of memorize the lay of the land, so to speak, and that makes it a lot easier. Okay, so again, you're just seeing more of that combat approach, which is hitting weak points and then doing the finishers to instantly kill them. Now, something I didn't mention is the bow. So in my opinion, you want the light bow for this run. That is the best bow to have. Not only because you get more ammo for it, but because it shoots faster. So when you're surrounded by enemies and you go to shoot a weak point, let's say you miss that shot. Well, if you miss that shot, if you're doing a hunter bow or a predator bow, it's going to be a lot harder for you to line that shot up without getting hit. Whereas on the light bow, you're already holding those arrows in your hand, so it's pew, 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 pew. You just get them off really rapidly. So you're able to hit those weak points. If you miss the shot, it's not a big deal. You adjust, boom, shoot it again, and it's very, very quick back to back. And then obviously the second one is what I kind of mentioned earlier, is that you got a lot more arrows, so that also aids in your ability to get through multiple enemies very, very quickly. And it helps a lot on the boss fights as well, specifically the final fight. Okay, so I've decided to path up here, and I don't think I mentioned this, but what I'm looking for in this run, I've already got my weapon, so I'm not looking for any weapons. I could use a better bow, right? If I can find a better bow, we're going to go with a better bow. But I've already found that, so I don't need to worry about that now. So from the weapon standpoint, we're fine. I want to find as many runes as I can, and I want to find as many abilities as I can to give myself the greatest chance of getting, like I mentioned earlier, an ice ability, an electric ability, or whatever. And then also prioritizing upgrading those abilities. So you're going to see there are certain things as we go through these various realms that I'm just going to blow right past. I might kill all the enemies there because those enemies give me money, and I need that money for the vendors to potentially buy things that will aid in the run. But I'm not necessarily going to worry about getting every single little thing. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going up this way is I'm killing these guys, and as you'll notice at the top of the screen there's a weapon icon. That just means I'll have a chance to pick a weapon. I don't care about that at this point. Right now I'm killing these guys to get money. And then there's a gem vendor up here, and that's what I want to go to. I want to go to that gem vendor and see if I can get like a good rune off of it, or get like a lucky drop for like an ability or something like that. Because a lot of the abilities you find from the gem vendors will be level 3 abilities. So if I can snag a really good ability drop early on in the game that's level 3, that gives me just so much utility and option in the way that I can approach certain things. Alright, so once we get up here, we'll see what he has. Generally, this vendor is kind of a letdown. 9 times out of 10, this vendor has nothing that I can use. However, they did have Ice Arrow this time. So as a reminder again, Ice Arrow is pivotal in the final realm and the final boss. Like, the thing that you want, in my opinion, is Ice Arrow for that area. Or, sorry, for the final boss. You really want that ability for the final boss for phase 1. And then the final realm, Ice Arrow is good. Me personally, I would rather have the electric ability I mentioned earlier where you throw the axes, just because of its ability to put multiple enemies on the ground so that they stop aggressing on you. But both of those are very, very good options, so if you see either of them, get them. If you have the opportunity to get both of them, definitely get them. Alright, so here I'm just trying to pick off what I can. And now this is a heavy, so I can't do anything with that guy except shoot. Ideally, we want to shoot weak points and then finish him off. Now, I kind of approached this wrong. I shot at him because I wanted him to come over. I shouldn't have shot multiple shots. I only needed to shoot one shot to get him to come over to me. So, we let him do his attack, we dodge it, we shoot his weak point, we finish him off. So now the heavy sees me, which, this is worrisome. I did not want him to see me yet, so this was me kind of panicking a little bit. Like, I need to get the hell out of his sight because I'm not ready to fight him. And the reason why I don't want to fight him right now is because he has a lot of abilities that require your full focus and attention. And I want to clear out this area here for the rune opportunity and for the money. And I would rather clear everyone out. That way I know I can run through this whole area without having to worry about somebody hitting me from the back or something like that. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit this guy, and I should have enough time to get up here if we don't parkour onto an object we don't want to. Good. Alright, so at this point, I'm like, okay, I have options here, right? And what I was thinking of doing was, okay, well, maybe if I get close enough, I can shoot him. And then I was like, wait a second, I don't need to do that. Because I have, God, what is it called? Tear's Kick or Kick of Tear or something like that. I got lucky and started with that ability. Amazing ability, by the way, guys. If you can get it for your run, get it. It's amazing. So I'm like, okay, well, let's try and break his guard. And then I go for it here, and it doesn't work. You can see it's bugging out. The game's bugging out. So I'm like, all right, whatever. He's going to come at me. Let me go ahead and go with the initial idea that I had, which was to take high ground and force him to come after me. So we're going to use Eagle Vision here and, just make sure that he's coming up. There he is. And right when he gets to the top, we're going to use the kick, and we're going to send his ass right over the side. From there, if it didn't kill him, we would just shoot him with arrows. And if he was still alive, well, we just rinse him repeat, not a big deal. So let's see what we got here. I want to say powerful elements is what I should choose. Yeah, there we go. So if you remember the first rune that we got, that legendary rune, it basically increases all of your damage against enemies that are under a certain status effect. And then that one just helps the build up of that status effect. So we're building up, or we're speccing into a very elemental approach to this run, which in my opinion is the ideal way to go through this if you want to do this no damage. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get the quiver upgrade, which is amazing. Anytime you can get a quiver upgrade, get it. And then we're going to go ahead and get an ability upgrade, and I'm going to put that into Incendiary Powder Trap, again in preparation for the 3rd and 4th boss in the run, where we're ideally going to want that to be maxed out. Alright, so straight ahead of us is the first boss. Now, unlike all the other bosses in this game mode, this one is random. So the type of boss you get here, it could be a boar, it could be a wolf. They can have fire abilities, they cannot have fire abilities. So in this run through, I got the boar that does have fire abilities. And the go-to strategy here for me is just to use arrows and shoot them with arrows. Now, one of the things I didn't do, because I was so focused on not taking damage here, this is the variant that always makes me nervous. This is the one that, when I get it in a run, I am very, very cautious, because it's very easy to take damage, because as you saw there, he can put basically fire under you. He'll have fire tornadoes come up later. He'll burrow under the ground and charge at you from under the ground to attack you. This one is a pain in the ass, so ideally what I wanted, or what I should have done here, was anytime I had the ability to use either the Incendiary Powder Trap or the Ice Arrow, use it. It doesn't matter that at the top of the screen for his health bar, he has electricity weakness. That doesn't matter. What matters is putting the status on him with the current build that we're building to get the increased damage off of that, so that I do more damage. And in that vein, it doesn't matter what what status he's under, because I'm getting a flat damage buff no matter what. So that boss is kind of a pain in the ass, but just kind of follow what I did there if you happen to get that variant, to stay away from his abilities, and just use arrows to shoot him for the most part. Now, once the fight is done, I'm going to run around and gather as many arrows as I can, because let me tell you guys, for this run, arrows are precious. You want as many arrows as you can get at all times, because it makes fighting all of the enemies, as I've described previously, so much easier when you can just hit a weak point and instantly kill them. So I'm going to take the extra time needed to run around here, fill up on arrows, and then we'll move on. Alright, so we are entering into the second realm now, and let me tell you guys, this is my favorite realm of the entire game mode. I love the enemies here because they set the enemies up to match perfectly with the environment. And what I mean by that is, when you come into this realm, every time you drop down, you're going to have a timer that's ticking away. And if that timer fills up, then you're going to start taking damage, and you'll die. So you need to balance that with speed. So I just love the approach here where I get to fully utilize what I've been telling you guys, which is hitting the weak points, and then those weak points coupled with the terror ability from the Draugr's Toll outfit will basically stagger the next couple of enemies so that they don't attack me immediately, so then I can just hit the next one. And it's almost like this ping pong effect, where you go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's just a cool feeling. It's fun. It's really, really fun to do that and pull it off. So that's what we're going to do for this entire area. We're not going to take it slow. We're really not going to stealth anybody. Mostly because there's no reason to. You know, it's much more lucrative to just weak point shoot everybody in this area to make it go by quickly, each enemy to go by quickly, so that you can get everything you need in a certain section and then get to the next section before the meter at the bottom of the screen fills up. Now, as I go through this, you'll see I'll pick up arrows at certain places just to make sure that I have, you know, the amount of arrows I need. Now, every time you come in here, at least in my experience, this big guy is always going to be back here. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get behind him so I can hit his weak point, because he's the most dangerous enemy here. So if I can get him off the board, that's what I want. Now watch the enemies around. Watch this one right in front of me with the shield. Watch him just take a step back. That's the terror effect, guys. From the outfit. That's the terror effect. If the enemy killed is in line of sight of the other enemies, they do this like, oh shit, where they take a step back and they hesitate. And as you can see, that opens up time for me to go ahead and hit each weak point one after the next, after the next, after the next, and insta-kill all of these enemies. With relative ease and, to be fair, relative safety. So now that I've gotten everything, we're just going to go ahead and proceed down to the next area. And as we go down to the next area, I'm looking at the top of the map saying, okay, what do I want? In this case, we have a rune and we have a weapon upgrade. Both are two things I want to absolutely go after. And we're going to do that. And I'm going to start with a weapon upgrade. And you'll see that the approach here is the exact same. I'm looking to segregate enemies and you know, take them out with those weak point shots and instant finishers, starting with this big guy. So something I don't think I've mentioned here that I've kind of been doing, like I did right there, is it's much faster to what I call short dodge to cover distance than it is to sprint. So you'll see that I do this a lot. That was a dodge roll. I didn't necessarily mean to do that, but you'll see that I do this like, it's almost like I'm trying to ice skate, if that makes any sense. Where I'll do that like right there, where it's like short dodge, short dodge, short dodge to cover ground. And I'll do that for this entire run. Because it is the best way to cover distance very, very quickly. And it also has an added benefit of it gives you iframes. Iframes are just invincibility frames. I've mentioned that concept in several no damage runs that I've done on this channel. And that just means that you can't take damage during whatever the duration of that iframe happens to be. So it's a good way to cover distance quickly, and you get a little bit of safety from it. So you'll see that I slow down quite a lot when going over these beams. I actually lost 2 runs back to back because I tried sprinting across those, and for whatever reason the game just like doesn't know how to deal with that apparently. And I fell down into the lava, and that was not fun. It's a very, very shitty way to lose a run to you know, something that's, you know, a bug or, you know, a misstep on the developer's part. Alright, so this guy that just jumped down in front of us, we need to take him out. He is one of the hardest ones in this area. Him and the ones that throw the fire grenades are enemies that we want to prioritize if we happen to see them. But something that happened to that guy while I was talking about it is the bow, I guess bonus or whatever you want to call it, where if I shoot 3 arrows on the same target, it will cause basically a stun or stagger. And I was trying to hit his weak point there and it wasn't working, you know? That's just kind of the reality of playing Valhalla, is you'll hit weak points and they just won't register.
Looking for a deal.
So I just was like, okay, whatever, because I have this bow and I've got amazing RNG and got this bow. 1, 2, 3, boom, and we broke him and then we went and finished him. So the bow that I have here, in my opinion, because it's a light bow and because of that bonus attached to it, it is an absolute must if you can find it. So I went ahead and grabbed the adrenaline upgrade. What I like to do for this run, and we're going to go ahead and full upgrade the incendiary powder trap there. By the time I get to the 3rd boss, I want to have, if at all possible, I want to have 4 adrenaline slots. Just because it makes that boss and the final boss so much damn easier the more you can use your abilities. Alright, so we landed in this area. Right in front of us we have an ability upgrade, and then to my left I have the ability to get a weapon. At this point the priority is getting the upgrade. Everything else is just killing the enemies to get money. So what I'm doing right now is I'm playing this slow because this is one of the enemies that didn't respond earlier. These guys will throw axes at you. And that's why, like, I've got missile reversal, but those axes come so fast. So if I can kill them without them actually attacking me, that's what I want to do. So that's why I was taking it a little slow with that guy. Now for the rest of these guys, I see, oh, they got a spear, oh, they got a bow. Okay, I already know what those enemy types are. They're not a concern. So then we can go into combat and just use the method that I've been, explaining to you guys. Alright, so again, I didn't really care about the weapon here. We're just killing enemies to get the money. But now we're gonna head over and get the get this ability upgrade. So this side's fairly consistent in that you'll always either have a heavy, and by a heavy I mean one of those big guys, or you'll have one of the guys that throws grenades. So unfortunately, we got the guy that throws the grenade as the target we have to kill. And you'll see this because there's a white, like, vertical line attached to his head. You can see it right there in the center of the screen. So what that's telling you is you need to kill him, and then loot him. And when you loot him, you'll get that, you'll get the reward, right? Now, a cool thing to note, and I can't remember if I do it anywhere in the run, but it's good to know in case you're like, oh, I'm kind of under-geared or I don't have a whole lot, and I really don't want to fight everybody. Whenever you enter into an area where there's one highlighted with like a vertical line like that, if you can find a way to kill him and pull him away from the group, pull him away from the group and then kill him, where there's the axe throws I mentioned, that's why those guys suck. But if you can find a way to pull him away from everyone else and then kill him and loot his body, every other enemy in that section will immediately despawn. So you won't even have to worry about them. So a really cool thing, a nice tip to know, like I said, in case for whatever reason you're like, I don't want to deal with all these guys, I just want to get the reward. That's a good way to do it. So I believe here we're going to prioritize the adrenaline, I think. That's what I should do. Because ability upgrades are far more common than adrenaline upgrades, so I made a decision early on when I was kind of conceptualizing and learning just, how this game mode works and kind of perfecting the gameplay of going through it that, adrenaline is very sparse in comparison, so picking those up as early as possible is what we want to do. Now to the right there were some cups there. If you're playing this game mode, you'll find these throughout the various realms when you're doing a run, where there'll be 3 cups and you can pick one to drink. Sometimes they'll give you buff, sometimes you'll take damage, you'll get poisoned. And because it's random, that's why I don't mess with them. So this area, you won't be able to actually access this area unless you've done a couple of runs through this area to basically free the dwarves. Once you free the dwarves, the next time you come back through, you'll, after some interchange that I won't spoil for you, you'll get the dwarves that'll put a rope over to this section so that you can access the gem vendor. Now again, similar to Realm 1, this gem vendor in Realm 2 is kind of crap most of the time. Very rarely does he have anything that I'm like, wow, that was amazing. So, if you don't have access to this and you're trying to do a no damage run, it's really not the end of the world. Really, the big gem vendor is in World 3, or Realm 3. And that one, anybody can have access to. There's no prerequisite for that one. Alright, so we killed this guy. There is one enemy left, but this is, me taking advantage of that tip I told you earlier. Which is, we're just going to kill this guy, get our upgrade, that'll despawn the last enemy, and then we'll move on. Now again, I'm prioritizing the ice arrow there over the kick, because the ice arrow is pivotal for Realm 4, the final realm, and the final boss. So, definitely prioritizing upgrading that since I got the good luck of picking it up, and picking it up early in the run. So let's head up to this gem vendor and let's see what pass Hayate got and what I chose.
Let us.
Alright, so we don't need weapons. The charge is crap. That's kind of crap. So it looks like it's all crap for our build and for, what we're trying to do right now. So, if you were aligned to a poison type build, then that rune would have been really great. But right now we're going for more of an elemental thing. We've got fire, we've got ice, we want electric, and we've got 2 runes that increase damage and the buildup of those effects. So. Alright, so we'll pick up some arrows here. And what do we got? So we've got crafting materials or whatever, upgrade materials, which doesn't matter. I don't care about that. We've got a rune to our left, so let's go do the rune. Now this is the area where earlier I said, you wouldn't have access to the gem vendor unless you freed the dwarves. This is where you have to come to free those dwarves. But you need 2 keys to do that. And you get those keys randomly off of various enemies in various sections on this realm. So basically, if you want to free the dwarves, kill every enemy in every section. And eventually you'll get the keys. Okay, well that was pretty cool. So I know that looks scary, like, Hayate, why the hell did you go in for that? That big, big girl on the left was about to hit you. Whenever you do a finisher, it stops every enemy in the area from attacking you. So. And I know that you get into basically an invincibility state. So that's why I never worry about any of the enemies around it. I just try and get in there real quick to get it. Alright, so I remember this, as if it just happened. This was scary as hell, guys, because I get the setup here right, and I fuck it up. So I shoot this guy in the back, and just like we did all the other ones, I should drop down and finish him. Nope. I hit the wrong button and hit assassinate, so now he's still alive, and then I roll into fire. And I'm like, oh my god, and I said that out loud, guys. My wife was in the other room, and she heard me go, no. I was like, what the hell happened? I was like, oh, that? Yeah, let me show you. So I showed her what happened. I was like, thank God that there is a mechanic in this game that if you're dodging, the damage over time will not take effect. If I remember correctly, that happened to me in my Assassin's Creed Odyssey run too, like very early in the run. I got set on fire by like a brazier or something that was just like up against like a wall or whatever. And I was able to like dodge roll through it to keep me from taking damage, but That was a scary ass part. I remember that so vividly. Alright, so we're gonna get arrows. This is you know, our last chance to pick anything up before the second boss. Again, ideally, you know, you would want some kind of an electric attack here because the boss is weak to electric. But, you know, whatever. We get the chance to upgrade our weapon, and that's pretty much it. And now we'll move on to the second boss. And I think, honestly, I think this is my favorite boss out of all of the bosses, because this one feels very fair. So, I'll try and remember to return to that fair statement in a second for the third boss. Alright, so as we go into this, basically I'm just looking to perfect dodge what I can for the slow time effect, and then just stay on there. Do not give him a chance to breathe at all. And then what we want to do is status effect him, because you'll see here in a second, when he's status effect, watch the damage he takes. Because of the runes that we have, he just burns. The amount of damage that he takes is insane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit him again with it, and then we're going to, and it's unfortunate I couldn't get to him fast enough. We'll status affect him again as soon as we're done with all these, you know, avoiding all these circles, and then we're just going to burn him and completely skip the final phase. So there it is, and that's the fight. So as you can see, the RNG that I got for this run was huge. And I made sure that I had it, and that goes back to those favors that I bought from the vendor before we started the run, where I got to choose a rune from a previous run and choose a weapon from a previous run. Or wait, was it a rune? No, it wasn't a rune. It was an ability, right? So I knew that I needed the incendiary powder trap, and I knew that I needed the spear. And as soon as we got that destructive elements rune, it's game over at that point. Once you see that, that is best case scenario for no damage, for the no damage run. And then at that point, you're just looking for abilities to put status effects onto the enemies. Okay, so for World 3, this world sucks. Or Realm 3. This realm sucks. These, in my opinion, are the most dangerous enemies in the game. Or in this mode. So what you're going to see here is I take a very, very, very slow and stealth-based approach to this realm. Because these enemies, they do have weak points, but they're not as straightforward as the enemies you guys have seen up till now. These weak points on these enemies are a pain in the ass. So it's a much easier approach and much safer to just take this entire realm stealth first. So that's what you'll see. There are instances where I have to use you know, combat or more aggressive techniques to deal with some of these enemies, but stealth is what you're going to see. So that's why I'm sitting here waiting forever for this asshole to come over here, to get his AI to come over here so I can just insta-kill him instead of fighting him. So I'll leave it at that. I'll chime back in here, you know, for anything of note or interest, but for the most part, you're going to see a very stealth-based approach to this realm. Which, to be honest, I think is really cool. And I think that speaks volumes on the developers for this game mode, in that they made a game mode that, you know, Realm 1 is fairly balanced. Realm 2, very aggressive, but they give you the tools to be aggressive. Realm 3 is a very stealth-based approach, is the kind of the ideal way. And then the final realm is more of a, like a joining of all three of those into one. So, you know, kudos to the developers for that. Oh, so I mentioned earlier that I needed to remember to tell you guys about you know, this run being easy versus being rough. So if you did a fresh run, and I spent so much time trying to do a fresh run, meaning you don't have skill upgrades. I didn't set myself up to have a certain ability or a weapon to start with. I had the default outfit, not even upgraded. Like literally your first experience playing through this was what I was trying to do no damage. And I was able to quickly get to the third boss multiple times. So it's very doable up to the third boss. However, the third boss, which is the boss we're going to fight right after we get through this realm, that boss has an ability where it jumps into the air to relocate. And because of the nature of how you have to fight the boss, you have to be within melee distance to do damage to it. When that jump happens, it's a 50-50 chance whether you're going to take damage. And you take that damage via a poison status effect. So basically you get poisoned and that damage ticks down over time. And unfortunately, a status effect you cannot dodge. So you know, it's not like I can dodge roll through poison or short dodge through poison and not get it. If you touch it, you get it. So essentially what I decided was that boss is not possible to do no damage consistently because of that mechanic. So I had to find a different approach to make it consistent. You know, we're at 41 minutes and some change at this point. By the time we get to that boss, you know, we'll be closer to an hour. You don't want to waste an hour getting to a boss and then be like, well, hope RNG is good. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be. And you're going to take damage, and it's not your fault. Because there's no way for you to know it's coming. There's no way for you to know that that's about to happen to make any kind of strategy around it to avoid it. So that's where the incendiary powder trap comes in. It is the best way to get through that boss. To basically burn the boss. It's not cheesing it, but you are basically destroying that boss before it ever has a chance to do anything. There is an element of risk there because you do have to get within melee distance sometimes to attack it. But for the most part, you're able to do all of your damage from range and just let your abilities do the work for you. So that is the reason why this run has been constructed in the way that it has. So for those people that are like, Hayate, why didn't you do a fresh run? Why did you do all this preparation? That's why. And if you want to try to do a no damage run, I would highly suggest you do the same thing. Feel free to go and try and do it on a fresh file. I think you'll find that your success rate is near 0. So, simply because of that boss. So I would not suggest doing a fresh file or a fresh run, no damage. Unless you are okay, you know, getting an hour in and wasting your time and it not being your fault. Anyways. So nothing in that we want, because we've got the 2 best weapons in the game for this run for no damage in my opinion. So we just grab the coins and we move on. Now there is a thief down to my left. I didn't go and get him because it's whatever. If I remember correctly, it only gives you like 90 coins or 110 or something, so it's not that much. Enemies, I think, give you like 35 to 55, depending on what realm you're in, so. Alright, so what I'm trying to decide right now is how I'm going to approach this. I want to go up here because this is an ability upgrade opportunity. So I want to go up here, I want to get this. We just have to figure out how to do this without aggroing everyone in here, right? We need to find a stealth-based way to do this. So the way that I decided, and this wasn't planned because generally these enemies are set up in a different orientation. that makes me stealth killing them from like a bush a lot easier. So this was all me just kind of thinking on the spot, where I put myself in a position to whistle these guys in. And there's a reason why I'm doing this on the right side of this area instead of the left. Because if I whistle on the left, where you see the guy physically at right now, and he comes through the opening on the left, when I reach out to grab him, what if someone's walking, like that guy in the background right now? He sees me, he alerts, he comes in, and then my stealth approach is fucked, right? Whereas on the right side, there's no one to see me. So there is, you know, my approach to these things, there is always a reason. There's always a tiny detail reason. And that's a good opportunity for me to kind of showcase that thought process and methodology there. So at this point, you know, I realized earlier, I didn't speak to it, but I realized earlier, off in the distance, the guy that's the furthest away from me, he's, I know like in the dialogue that he gets mentioned, but he's kind of like an elite. And, well, let me talk about this real quick. So what I was trying to do there, guys, was I was trying to hang on the edge so that he wouldn't see me. And then when he came up there, I would just pop up and assassinate him, but for some reason he fucking saw my legs dangling, I guess. But yeah, this guy is a heavy. These guys are very, very difficult to deal with. So basically my go-to approach is to stealth them and then to use an ability. Now you see there, I used the kick and it just didn't give me the kick. And sadly, I mean, this game is not perfect. You know, you've already seen, hey, lightning arrow, get past Tayete, get lightning arrow. You better get lightning arrow. Get lightning arrow. Get lightning arrow. I already know that I get lightning arrow. But my past self, it should have been a much quicker choice than it was. I was debating between that and coins, and I don't even know why it was a debate in my head. But anyways, this game's not perfect. You've already seen me shooting weak points, perfectly hitting weak points, and them just not taking, you know, taking the stagger. That's another good example of me using an ability and the ability just not functioning the way that it should. So these things happen. You have to be ready for them. But anyways, so it's time for us to go to this third realm gem vendor. Now this is the vendor that I was telling you guys is the most consistent for giving you useful things. If I remember correctly, this one gives me shit. So let's go in here and find out. So I get an upgraded tier. I remember this. So my tier kick was at level 1, so I bought that, brought it up to level, you know, brought it up to level 3. And then I bought Brittle Bones, which increases all of the damage again by 50% if they're freezing, right? So I have a 50% stack on top of the other whatever percent from the other runes, which is why for the last boss fight of the run, you're going to see that my go-to is, at least for phase 1, is the ice arrows. Because she just utterly melts. If you're lucky enough to pick up these runes with that ice arrow. So once we get done with the gem vendor, just, you know, I'm following a path. I don't care about these guys. I don't want to fight them. I don't need the money, and then this is just resources like upgrade stuff, which I don't need. So we're just not going to take the risk. We're just going to leave, and basically my goal now is to head to the final area. So I come to the left here just to see what it is. Now, that is an upgrade. an upgrade opportunity. However, it's one of the, like what I call the arena, arena sections. So whenever you see like a sword stuck into, you know, like the spot, you go up to it, you click it, and a bunch of enemies spawn. Which wouldn't be a big deal, but they close the area in like a bubble, like a force shield, that you can't get out of. So you're stuck in a small area, fighting those enemies that all spawn on top of you at the same time, and are all actively trying to attack you. So I think it's too risky. Now what I did here was I said, let me look at my money. Is it worth, do I need money? Do I want money? And I looked at it, I had 2,000 and made the decision, yeah, I want more money because I've got a vendor coming up, and if he has a bunch of good things, I want all of them. Plus this section right here is offering a rune. I might get like a good rune out of the deal, so we're going to go through and kill all these guys for money, for the chance of rune RNG being good. And then I guess, you know, I want full adrenaline when we go into this boss fight, right? And, you know, leading up to this, I only had 1 of the 4, so, you know, stealth killing these guys will give me full adrenaline as well, so. We're going to use a similar strat and thought process from that previous area that I had mentioned and talked through, where I'm just going to filter these guys down and we'll assassinate them on these corners. So I move off to the right here because the guy that I wanted to come was the one closest to me right now. The guy with the greatsword is a heavy. I will not be able to instant assassinate him. We're going to have to fight him, you know, by assassination and then arrows and then, you know, whatever else, so. You know, I moved from that spot because I don't want to deal with him right now. I want to kill everything else before we deal with a heavy. So let's see what I do here. So we have 2 heavies. We have 2 heavies. The guy with the big vertical line, that's another heavy, I believe. If I remember correctly, the vertical line is always attached to a heavy. And by that I mean somebody, yeah, because I can see his long sword or great sword or whatever. So we have 2 of them to deal with. That's fun. I don't remember this vividly, to be honest with you. But I feel like I would have been, like, really apprehensive of wanting to do this. Because what if both of them aggro to me? That would be just such a pain in the ass. What was I trying to do here? I can't remember. I mean, right now, in my head, I should go to the high ground. And then as they climb up, just use Tyr's Kick and throw them off. Get that extra damage, you know? But I don't remember what the hell I did here. Okay, I chose to just assassinate him, and I'm guessing I'm going to Tyr's Kick him. Shoot him with arrows. Yep. Do you see that, guys? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So, right there, I don't know if you guys saw it, but because I killed him, the other one despawned. That's what I was talking about earlier. In Realm 1, I think it was. But yeah, that was a good example, again, of us shooting arrows and them just not registering. You know, so... It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that that the game is kind of buggy in that way, where you can't even trust your abilities or your, you know, just your basic attacking. But it is what it is. Now this is a weapon upgrade. I imagine I go for this. Sadly, this is a heavy. I shouldn't have done that. That's a mistake right there. That's a mistake right there, dude. Oh, and I remember this too. I was like, why the hell is my Tears Kick not working? Why is my Tears Kick not working? You see I'm crouch walking because I'm like panicking. And I didn't realize it. I was hitting number 2. Number 2, like in the base game, is where I usually keep my go-to ability. And I think just like muscle memory, I was like hitting 2, and nothing was working. And I was like, oh my god. And just started running for my life. I don't think I attack this guy. I hope I don't. He's a heavy. We don't want to deal with him. We want to kind of whittle down the other ones first. Okay, so we can stealth assassinate that. We want to look back, make sure no one's looking at us. So we can get this off without aggroing everyone else in. And now it's just trying to kill the little ones, man. Whatever we can get. Okay, so I see that they're walking away from him. So he's segregated, so I'm just going to run up and take this guy out. Good. And now, how are we going to take out the other ones? I can't tell if that's 2 heavies. It looks like it's a heavy and not a heavy. So the heavy's on my left. Right through the wall. That was an interesting strategy. I don't know why the hell I did that. It worked though. That worked. So this guy should be an insta-kill. We can just, you know, run at him. Get him from the high ground, hopefully. Hayate, what are you doing? Just... That was unnecessary. I think I was slightly panicking here. Like, I was like so scared of getting hit. Because, like I told you guys earlier, this is these enemies are the most dangerous ones in the entire game mode, in my opinion. But that was like a regular one. I could have just assassinated him from the high ground and instantly killed him and not wasted arrows and not taken the risk. Alright, let's see what our vendor here has. This is the last opportunity that we've got to upgrade anything before the 3rd boss. Okay, so nothing. We should get ability... Do I get both? I get weapon upgrade for this. I think I buy the ability upgrade. Yeah, there we go. Do lightning arrow. Which is funny, because I don't remember using lightning arrow, like, at all in this run. Like, I had it, but I don't think I, like, really ever used it. Alright, so the 3rd boss, man. This boss, like I told you guys earlier, sucks. This boss you cannot do consistently without damage. Unless you do it the way that I'm about to do it. So, checking my arrows here. I want to get to 35, so I'm just going to kind of run around. Fill up on arrows, and then we're going to go into the fight. So basically what this fight's going to come down to, there's 3 phases to this fight. The boss has 4 feet. He's a dragon. We have to break 3 of the 4 to push the next phase, so I'm just going to incendiary powder trap on both his front feet and his back foot. And if you look at the top of the screen, you can see how that's burning. All by itself. So I do come in and do damage. When one of his legs gets broken, he'll be like CC'd and stuck in spot for a few seconds, and he won't be able to move. So there's no possibility of him jumping in the air and me taking that damage, and I know that from testing. So it was okay to go in on the first one. That second one was really, really iffy. Now, whenever you break him, he's going to fly in the air and he's going to fall down. You need to get close to him, either on the left and the right. I went to the left because that was the closer one to me. And then we're going to do damage on the right side. Now with the spear, you'll see here that if you get the 4th hit off, you'll get staggered because it's hitting his head armor, which is, you know, not what we want. Anytime the boss goes red, he has the red telegraph, that means he's going to melee attack you and bite at you. So you want to roll away. Once we get him down to 50% HP, he's going to come back up, and those incendiary powder traps are going to continue because they were still there waiting to explode from the level 3 upgrade. So then all I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing I did earlier. We're going to go in. Now again, that's safe. That was safe because he had just gotten his legs broke, and he was about to shoot a projectile at me. He won't leap up into the air if he's shooting a projectile. So we're going to do the exact same thing, rinse and repeat. We're going to go off to whatever side is closest just to avoid the beam. And then we're going to run over to the other side to do damage. If you have this spear, you cannot do damage on the inside, the opposite side. If you have another type of weapon, you can absolutely do damage on either side. It doesn't matter. It's just this spear, because of the longer reach, it interacts with the head armor whenever you do that 4th hit. Okay, so that's phase 2 gone. So now we're going to get a bunch of Draugr or whatever are going to spawn. What you want to do is you want to kill as many of these as possible, because what they do is they run in, and as they interact with the boss, they regenerate one of his feet. So the more of these you kill, the less health he will have in the final phase, which is beneficial because we need to burn him in this final phase as fast as possible. Because if we don't, a shit ton of archers are going to spawn in this area, and it's going to make the final section a pain in the ass. So we're going to hit all of his feet very, very quickly. Be very accurate, take the extra time if you need it, and then we're going to go in and just unload everything we have. Use all of your adrenaline. If you have to go in and melee attack, you do it. You do not want this dragon to land and be shooting lasers at you while you have all these people around the entire area shooting arrows at you. Because at that point, you're kind of fucked. So, but once you get in this state, as long as none of those guys spawned, you're good. I mean, this is pretty much GG at this point. The boss is done, and we can move on to the final realm and the final boss. So I do want to make a note here, just like every other boss. I'm going to run around to replenish arrows. I've got 28 now. We want to get up to 35 because that's the max I have with the current upgrade. So I'll be taking some time to run around this area and pick those up. Sadly, this area sucks. Like, the arrows are so far apart from each other, and they're kind of a pain in the ass to find and even see sometimes. So this does generally take a little bit of time, but we'll do that and then we'll move on. Okay, so this is the final realm, and this realm is a pain in the ass for one major, well, it's really two reasons, but let me talk to the first one. So unlike the other sections or the other realms in the game where you could basically run past, you know, For example, look at my screen. There's a weapon upgrade, right? If I didn't want to get this, we could run past it in all the other realms and just go straight for the boss. You can't do that. You cannot do that in the final realm. You have to kill every enemy in every section to get the portal to open to move into the next section. So because of that, it's a pain in the ass. Now I said a second ago, there's 2 reasons this is a pain in the ass. So that's the first one. The second one is that you have to kill all the enemies in the area. And most of the enemies in this final realm are heavies. And when I say heavies, I mean heavies unlike the other realms. Like, these heavies are brutal. You can attack them, you can stagger them, and they'll just pop up out of it and hit you. So these enemies are very dangerous, but they're very manageable. If you have the ice arrow, if you have the electric axe throws that I mentioned, you know, multiple times earlier in the run, that obviously we don't have right now, but this area is very reliant, at least the way that I built the strategy to consistently get through these places, on using your abilities on the enemy. So what you're going to see here in a second is I'm going to ice arrow this heavy, and then we're just going to use heavy attacks while he's stunned with my spear. That coupled with the brittle bones rune that we have, the elemental destruction one that we have, basically all the ones building up our elemental damage, all of that stuff combined shreds these enemies. So, you know, it's not a guarantee that, you know, you'll have the same build I have if you're trying to do these, you know, types of runs. But there's only so many builds that work, in my opinion, for no damage. There's really only 3. This is the one that I got for this run is the top, like, S tier, in my opinion. The only way I would have made this run better is trading out the electric arrow with the electric axe throws that I've been telling you guys about. If I would have had those, I would have considered this run basically min-maxed. So I do want to make a note that that portal that I took that was on the right was only available because I've beaten this mode before. When you beat the mode, you get a favor that you can use indefinitely every time you do a run. And that favor allows you to basically come to that gem vendor once when you're in the final realm. Okay, so this is a pain in the ass. This obviously is one of the things I told you guys about earlier, where we spawn a bunch of enemies now. These enemies are all heavies. Every one of them. There's 4 of them. They're all heavies. Now I mess up at the beginning. I accidentally hit 4 for the poison arrow instead of 1 for the freeze arrow. But, you know, it's whatever. So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get them somewhat grouped so I can freeze multiples at the same time and damage them at the same time to try and hopefully kill them off as quickly as possible. Then I'm going to run back and route to this pillar again, wait for this guy to search for me, and then we'll, surprise, ice arrow to your face, and then we'll run in and hit him. Or I could not ice arrow and just shoot him. Oh, he's bugged out. That's cool. That must have been why I shot at him, because I realized he was bugged out and he wasn't moving forward. Sometimes, guys, the bugs in this game work to your favor, and that was one of those times. So this is another section that's a pain in the ass. If I remember correctly, this was another enemy spawn, which makes it a double pain in the ass because there's poison basically along, you know, 2 of the 4, you know, edges of this rectangle or whatever. And obviously that cuts off real estate and things that, you know, places where you could be. So when I spawned these guys, basically I was just looking for the enemy composition. I saw that we had a heavy. After that, I'm like, okay, well, for the most part, it's, you know, it's regular guys that we can just stagger out and insta-kill. So that's what I end up doing here for the rest of them. And, you know, from run to run to run, that can be, those enemy compositions can be a little different. So it will take some practice and a little bit of time to be able to have these situations unfold in front of you as rapidly as they do and make the right decision in the heat of the moment. But yeah, we'll finish off all these guys. Because they're in the poison, I have to kind of back off and wait for them to come in to attack me, so that I have like a safe space to do these finishers. But that'll be the last one, and then we'll move on to the next section.
Easy now. Something's not right.
Looking for...
Alright, let's see what our vendor has here. We can't use weapons. That's good. So the assassination on that's not good on that rune, but the back damage increase is, and we're going to use that on the final boss. And then obviously we also picked up another weapon upgrade, so now both the spear and the bow are both fully upgraded for everything that comes now to the end of the run. So this section's very consistent. You'll always come in through this little crack, and you'll always get spotted out by all of these enemies that are just standing right there waiting for you. These aren't necessarily a big deal. Pretty much, you're just going to use the same tactic we've been using. I can't remember if there's a heavy here. I want to say there was, but, you know, if there was a heavy here, just for, you know, speculation's sake, we would just ice arrow and beat the crap out of them with our spear like I've done all the other ones. Now, you might have noticed there is a timer on this this encounter. We don't have to pass that timer. We don't care about the gear anymore at this point. And if I remember correctly, it's something I don't even need. So there's the heavy. We're gonna go ahead and ice arrow him, and then just beat the shit out of him. But yeah, we don't care about. I mean, I'm pretty much min-max at this point. There's not a whole lot better my gear and everything could get. God, that was so close. In preparation for the, you know, final fight. So. Now, to open the portal, you have to go back and get it. And this will be an ability upgrade. And honestly, what can we upgrade with this? I don't even know. I'm running around the bodies trying to pick up the arrows. Yeah, there's like nothing here for me to upgrade, so we don't care about those abilities. Those are not good abilities. But yeah, you have to pick up the whatever the reward is in the section for the portal to open. Which goes back to what I told you guys earlier, which is why this realm's kind of a pain in the ass, is you have no choice but to kill every enemy to proceed to the next section. So this section is going to be a mix. It's usually 50-50 between guys we can stagger and insta-kill and heavies that we can't do that with. That will need to use the ice arrows, right? So here's our first one. There's a heavy to my left right now, and if I remember correctly, there's a heavy above me as well. God, that's so much damage, man. That first hit did like 75% of his life in one hit. So the guy furthest back, that's up top, that is now the closer one coming down, that's a heavy. And then that guy up, or... Wait, am I reading it wrong? Are these both heavies? Oh, these are... Alright, let me just shut up and watch, because I don't know at this point. I thought I saw double weapons on this guy. No, I think he just has one. Yeah, this is just an archer. So we'll just weak point shot and insta-kill this guy. Alright, so this is the final section before the final boss. And there generally is a heavy in here. So, it changes from run to run. So one of the things I'm looking for is that. And so there he is, the guy with the spear. So I want to try and let him aggress onto me, and if I can't, then, you know, whatever. So we'll go ahead and ice arrow him. Damn, that's such good damage, man. Oh, he got frozen. That was nice. I forgot about that. That's kind of funny. He got frozen from the ice arrow. So there was another heavy right there. So there were two heavies in this. So I shoot, and you see it didn't take, which sucks, even though it's sticking out of his leg. Did you see that? Oh my lord. Rewind the run there, man, and look. Roll it back and look, there was an arrow sticking out of his weak point. Oh my god, this game sometimes. Again, we're picking up there. We don't care about the upgrade materials and stuff. But we have to get it to open the final portal to go to the final boss. So for the final boss, this boss is a pain in the ass. It's a very hard fight. If you want to try and do this no damage, you need to spend a lot of time learning what these abilities look like and how to deal with them. I'm going to more so, you know, speak to the strategy here. So I told you guys earlier, Ice Arrow was going to be huge. So what I want to do is I want to get Ice Arrow on the Hound, and then we're just going to lay into him and immediately kill him. Then what I'm looking for in phase 1, I'm just looking to do damage to her, and we're going to put Ice Arrow on her so that we get the damage increase from the runes. So you'll see we're doing huge amounts of damage on her when she's got the ice status effect on. So I'm going to do it again there. And now we're just going to burn her. Look at that health, dude. So once she gets down to about 10-15% life, she pushes into phase 2. She'll absorb the Hound, and then we'll just be dealing with her. And so now the strategy changes, where we're going to be prioritizing Incendiary Powder Trap so that she's always burning. And then because we're level 3 on the Powder Trap, it'll explode on her like it did right there a little bit after the initial damage, you know, comes in. So I'm not really going to talk to, like, dealing with these mechanics. What I will say is whenever she floats in the air like that, you need to run to this gate. It's a very, like, small percent chance, but... and she did it right there where she filled the entire area with those bramble vines or whatever they are. And the only safe place I could find from that was consistent was the gate. So I come in, I'm going to do some damage to her because I don't have a choice. I need to build adrenaline. And then on my next opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and Incendiary Fire Trap again. The other thing I'll note is that you want to play in the very center of the map, or the area, because of what she just did there, when she goes down and then back. If you don't play in the center of the area, you can, like, really run into an issue where you won't have enough time to get out of whatever the affected red telegraphed area is. Alright, so we're going to come in, we're going to do some damage to her. Now I have adrenaline. Prioritize getting out. We should shoot her one time, and she's unarmed now. That's the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Forgotten Saga, completed without taking any damage. So if you're still with me to this point, thank you for the privilege of your time and attention. I hope this run was educational and informative. If you have any questions about anything in this run, please do not hesitate to leave a comment. If you enjoyed this run, don't forget to hit the like button and maybe share this run with a friend. Again, I want to thank you for the gift of your time and attention, and I'll see you on the next one.